While the Covenant had us locked up in here, I overheard the guards talking about this ring world. They call it Halo.
Point number 1, the very first shot is of the Master Chief without his helmet, and predictably, people are throwing a renewed tantrum over the audacity of Chief removing his helmet even when not in danger and just chilling. Guys, seriously, it's really not that big of a deal, let it go. Point number 2, we get our first look at the new character of Talia Perez, played by Christina Rodlow, who, according to the Silver Debrief on the Halo Waypoint website, is a UNSC Marine Corps communications specialist. And it appears this shot of her and the next of what appears to be Reach City being orbitally bombarded by the Covenant are connected. So it may be that Talia will play a similar role in this season that Quan Ha did in Season 1, where we follow a separate character to the Spartans embarking on her own journey, in this case most likely surviving the Covenant's invasion of Reach. Point number 3, in this shot of Kai, behind her there appears to be a bunch of people wearing SPI armor or spy armor. These people are most likely Spartan 3s. Just like Noble Team, the Spartan 3s everyone here probably knows about from Halo Reach. Carter, Kat, June, Emil, and Six were all Spartan 3s. George was actually a Spartan 2, and all of them except John died on Reach. Spartan 3s were cheaper and faster to create than Spartan 2s, and were intended to be sent out on Chop Suey missions with absolutely zero expectations of them making it out alive, and so it's actually insane to me just how long June has managed to survive, all the way to when Halo Infinite takes place in fact. Point number 4, speaking of Noble Team, many have theorized the people reflected in Chief's visor here might actually be the Silver Timeline's equivalent of Noble Team, since it's very reminiscent of the team's pose in promotional material from Halo Reach. Point number 5, it took me so long to figure out who this woman was standing with this kid, like I was so sure I'd seen her face before but just couldn't place it until I realized it's Soren's wife, Lara, standing with their son Kessler. I just didn't recognise her immediately because she looks quite different from how she appeared in Season 1. Point number 6, not entirely sure who all these people around this fire are supposed to be, unless the desert people on Madrigal have been given a significant design change, but this person on the left kinda looks like Riz to me, with maybe Kai standing next to her. This person who walks up to join the circle of people I think might be Quan Ha, which would make this her only appearance in this trailer. And it also seems like the shot of Halsey before and the shot of Chief after this fire shot implies they're also standing in this circle, but I can't make out where they are. Point number 7, and here we have what surprisingly appears to be the Arbiter, good old Thelvadami himself, sizing up some Marines and then maybe also getting up close and personal with Chief. And the reason I say surprisingly is because many believe this to be the Arbiter based on the appearance of the armor. However, for Thel to be the Arbiter now means the writers have significantly changed how he ended up becoming the Arbiter. In the Blue timeline, Thel was made the Arbiter as an alternative for being executed, and he was going to be executed due to failing to destroy the Pillar of Autumn and consequently Chief and Cortana from destroying Installation 04. This obviously hasn't happened in the Silver Timeline, so we can only wonder why Thel here, if it even is Thel, now thinking about it, it could just be an entirely different elite, was made an Arbiter. My theory is that this elite was made an Arbiter after having failed to protect McKee and not killing any of the Spartans at the end of Season 1. Point number 8, Joseph Morgan is a new actor to the show, playing a character that is certainly not new to Halo, James Ackerson. James Ackerson is the creator of the Spartan 3 program, and as such doesn't get along well with Halsey since his program competed with her Spartan 2 program. Also, a fun little side note, Ackerson in the Blue timeline actually tried to get the Master Chief killed when during a field test he threw anti-tank mines, ODSTs, chain guns, and an airstrike against the Spartan. Chief obviously lived, and Cortana messed with Ackerson's files and personal life by sending a lot of Ackerson's money to a brothel and then the bill to his wife as revenge. Point number 9, damn, Cortana looking hella different than how she did in Season 1, if this is in fact Cortana. Although I guess it's on brand since her appearance changes every single game. Point number 10, and the trailer ends with a shot of a Halo ring, and I know there's no gas giant behind it and the angle of the ring is different, but it really reminds me of the opening shot of the first Halo game. I was really expecting the Pillar of Autumn to fly into the shot from the right. Point number 11, so that was the trailer, but I also want to go more into the Silver Debrief post on the Halo Waypoint website I mentioned earlier. It tells us Season 2 takes place 6 months after Season 1, so there's going to be a lot of stuff that has happened in that gap that the show will have to catch us up on. It gives us a list of characters and actors returning from Season 2. Those we didn't see include Margaret Parangoski, Miranda Keyes, Quan Ha, if I'm wrong about her being in the fire scene, and somehow McKee. played by Charlie Murphy, is also returning despite her apparently dying at the end of Season 1. Unless they give the Covenant in this timeline the ability to bring someone back from the dead, I can only speculate that maybe she didn't actually die at the end of Season 1, she'll appear in flashbacks in scenes we didn't see in Season 1, or, and this is what I'm leaning towards, if Chief keeps having visions of being on the ring whenever he touches the keystone, he might also see visions of McKee also being on the ring for some reason. Season 2 also has a new showrunner and head writer, David Viner, I don't know, who is bringing a more grounded and gritty tone to the show, explaining why Season 2 seems to be focusing more on the open war between humanity and the Covenant, an element that was lacking in the first season. Point number 12, so after watching the trailer and reading the debrief, I'm still left wondering how the show is going to explain that Chief apparently died at the end of Season 1 just like McKee, and Cortana fulfilled her purpose of taking over his brain. Maybe they'll just ignore that ever happened. I know a lot of people didn't like Season 1, I did though, and I think it gets a lot more hate than it deserves, and I can't wait to see how Season 2 turns out and builds off of what Season 1 set up.
When you first saw Halo, were you blinded by its majesty?
Point number 1, narrating over the beginning of this trailer is, interestingly, a female voice. Is this somehow McKee, since it's been revealed she will return? Or could it be someone reading out a message from a member of the Covenant, a message from a prophet, or maybe from the Arbiter? Point number 2, it does seem like the character of Riz is going to play a bigger part this season. We see her lying with some sleeping guy, her messed up arm, her crying, and plenty of shots of her fighting. First off, who's the sleeping guy? Maybe she's been able to track down her relatives. Could he be a boyfriend? The dude in the background might be the same guy looking at her arm. And why is she crying? Does it have something to do with her arm injuries? And could those injuries be the reason we only get 1, maybe 2 shots of her wearing her armor in this trailer because she can't wear it properly anymore? Point number 3, who the heck is this old guy and why is he so special he gets to have a whole shot of himself included in this trailer? Point number 4, we get a quick shot of some jackals and they're still using the energy daggers we've only ever really seen being used by elites in the game Halo Reach. Point number 5, we see Halsey and another person walking through a very foreigner looking corridor towards what appears to be a ring. The question is, does this take place on Reach or Madrigal? Most likely Reach, which would mean the bonfire scene from the previous trailer also takes place on Reach. And these red-robed people we see later on in this new trailer aren't just a reimagining of the desert people Quan meets on Madrigal, but instead Reach residents. Point number 6, very cool shot of all the elites activating their energy source in this fog, I must say, but it does mean it might not have been the Arbiter we saw Chief fighting in the fog in the previous trailer. In fact, we see a number of elites wearing very Halo 2 Arbiter looking armor in this trailer, but less ornate, so it does raise the question, was the elite slicing Marines up in the dark in the previous trailer the Arbiter or not? Point number 7, we see what appears to be shots of Soren saying goodbye to his family to then join John on Reach to help defend it, fighting alongside him and even helping him walk. I wonder if he heard about Reach being attacked and decided himself to help out, or did John maybe get in contact with him? Point number 8, it seems new character Talia Perez will actually be interacting with the Spartans quite a bit. We see her fighting alongside Riz and running with Chief, plus she's with him fighting the Energy Sword elites in the fog. We also see her at some sort of ceremony with an injured face, but the Reach in the background isn't all bombed and burning, so the ceremony must be taking place before the attack, begging the question, how does she get injured and does it have something to do with the ceremony? Point number 9, along with shots of an armorless Riz, we also get quite a few of John out of his armor whilst fighting Covenant. I can only assume the Covenant have surprise attacked where he's at and cut him off from his armor. Point number 10, this shot of Ackerson and Keyes isn't very reassuring. They seem to be having some form of argument or disagreement, which might be related to the bunch of sheet-covered corpses next to them. Maybe Ackerson's trying to blame the deaths on the Spartan 2s to help sell his pitch for Spartan 3s, and Keyes doesn't like it. Point number 11, the 3 Spartans flying through space towards a Covenant corvette has me hopeful we'll get a proper look inside of a Covenant ship this season, see if they've kept the interior design the same as in Season 1. Point number 12, for some reason I'm having a hard time figuring out who's talking towards the end of this trailer. Is it Chief on Cortana? Let me know who you think it is in the comments. Point number 13, so we see a bunch of Riz, Kai and Chief throughout this trailer, but we hardly see anything of Paul Vanek. We also haven't seen anything of Parangoski or Miranda, so it might be no big thing, but part of me wonders if Vanek might be the first member of Silver Team to fall to the Covenant, and that's why we haven't seen much of him. Point number 14, oh hell yes, let's see some space battles. And this shot of Chief with the door opening to reveal the ships blasting each other in space really makes me think of the Chief giving the Covenant back their bomb scene from Halo 2.
That is another Halo.
Point number 1, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time we've seen the entirety of Silver Team together in a green fog scene. Previously, we've only seen Chief and Talia Perez in the fog, taking on a whole bunch of elites. Point number 2, here we see Soren's son Kessler, who's wearing his father's old helmet that we previously saw him wearing in the first look trailer, and is playing with a Master Chief action figure. It makes sense there'd be merchandise about the Spartans to help boost morale and public opinion of them, but it still seems a little funny to me that you could walk into a shop and be faced with rows upon rows of Master Chief action figures, like that one scene from Toy Story 2. Master Chief. Point number 3, again, we see this random guy in a random room and now he's just randomly pointing out of his window. Who the heck is this guy that he's been in 2 trailers now, and what is he pointing at? And why does that shape in the architecture of the bridge look really familiar to me? Oh my god. Fulcrum and Halo TV show confirmed. Point number 4, the woman narrating over the opening of this trailer I believe is Halsey, and it's interesting she's talking about a city falling, presumably referring to the city we've become accustomed to seeing in scenes set on Reach, people escaping or not as the case may be, and how the game is over. This leads me to believe the fall of Reach won't encompass the entirety of Season 2. At some point it will be attacked, fall, and then later at a different location we'll hear these lines from Halsey. And of course, since I think the woman who is talking is Halsey, her saying the game is over reminds me of the words Halsey's mother said to her after the first time they played chess, the only time Halsey's mother ever won, and Cortana's first words in this timeline and in the blue timeline, though in the blue timeline she said it in Italian, not in English.
When the game is over, the king and the pawn go back into the same box.
Point number 5, the very orange shot of Chief looking out of the back of a crowded pelican connects back to the close-up shot of Chief's helmet from the first look trailer, where you can see the group of people on the ground reflected in Chief's visor. Many speculated this could be the show's version of Noble Team, due to them standing in a similar pose to promotional material for the game Halo Reach, but I think now it might be the red-robed people we've seen in previous trailers. In fact, the very next shot of Chief face-to-face with the white-haired, red-robed woman whilst carrying a person over his shoulder, I think actually takes place before the shot of Chief on the crowded pelican, and the woman is telling Chief to leave her and the others behind for whatever reason. Point number 6, we see again the shots of an elite slicing up Marines in the dark, just like in the first look trailer, but then we get an additional close-up shot of the elite. Many still believe this could be the Arbiter due to similarities with the armor, but I really don't think it is, unless the show has the Arbiter wear armor that's identical to armor worn by other elites we've seen throughout these trailers. I just think these are a special rank of elites, probably just stealth elites or something similar. Point number 7, here we have Kai standing before many, presumably Spartan 3s, who are all decked out in spy armor. This shot appears to carry on from a shot we saw in the official trailer of Kai standing next to Ackerson as she puts on her helmet and doors in front of her open. She must then walk outside and stand before this army of Spartan 3s. And I do mean army. In the blue timeline, the number of Spartan 3s produced was around 930. Each square of Spartan 3s here is 10 by 10, and if you then count all the squares, the number of Spartan 3s on screen here is over double the number of 3s that ever existed in the blue timeline. That's a lot of Spartan 3s. The show appears to be going so much harder on the idea that Spartan 3s are meant to be expendable, cheaper to train, and faster to ship out than Spartan 2s, and would need to rely more on numbers than tech to complete their borderline not so borderline chop suey missions. Point number 8, pretty cool shot of an armorless Chief activating an energy sword, not gonna lie. I wonder if it's the jackals with shields and energy daggers that we see in the next shots and that we saw in the official trailer that he's going to use it against. Point number 9, we see here presumably Cortana looking quite different than she did in season 1 of the show, appearing before presumably Halsey in front of some sort of blue glowy pedestal inside of a glass box. The heck is all that about? What's this pedestal? Is it Forerunner? And why is it inside of a glass box? Point number 10, next we see Kai looking away with an upset expression on her face from an image of Master Chief with what appears to be the word heroes above his head. Since it appears Ackerson has gotten involved with the Spartan 3 project, could this have created some form of rift between her and Chief? Or could it be she simply misses him what with not being able to be part of Silver Team whilst working with the Spartan 3s? I wonder if Kai in the second season is going to follow a similar path as Kurt Ambrose, formerly known as Spartan 051. Kurt, during a mission requiring him to be floating around in space, was listed as MIA when his jetpack malfunctioned, which sent him flying off randomly into deep space. This, however, turns out to have been planned by Oni and Ackerson so that they could retrieve Kurt and secretly recruit him to train the Spartan 3s. Point number 11, I find it hilarious that Ackerson, of all people, could be saying he believes in Master Chief, considering he tried to kill him in the blue timeline. Let's flash back for a moment to my breakdown of the first look trailer and let Pastor Paulette explain, shall we? Also, a fun little side note, Ackerson in the blue timeline actually tried to get the Master Chief killed when during a field test he threw anti-tank mines, ODSTs, chain guns, and an airstrike against the Spartan. Chief obviously lived, and Cortana messed with Akison's files and personal life by sending a lot of Akison's money to a brothel and then the bill to his wife as revenge. Point number 12. I wonder if this is how Riz suffers the arm injuries we saw her sporting in the official trailer, rather than it being from her getting shot up a bunch at the end of the first season, since her arm gets pretty twisted here as she tries to hold on to this cliff she's falling off of. Point number 13. Oh my god, yes, we finally get an actual undisputable shot of Quan Ha. I noticed she's grown her hair out and is spotting a fringe again, kind of like she had in the flashback scene in episode 7. Maybe now the assholes who mocked her hairstyle in the first season will keep their mouths shut this time. Point number 14, it's nice to finally get a proper shot of Vanek doing something in a trailer. He's the member of Silver Team we've seen the least of, and judging by this shot, I think my theory of him being the first of the team to die might actually be true. I mean, right here, he's armorless and firing a needler at an elite whose armor is apparently needler-proof, since the shards are just bouncing off of him, and the elite is getting right up in Vanek's face with a shard in its hand that he's presumably going to use to stab Vanek with. If only the needler didn't auto-track and Vanek was able to properly control its aim so that he could shoot the elite in the face. Alas, that's not how the needler works, and this right here is probably the end for poor Vanek. Point number 15. Neat final shot of Chief putting on his helmet under to show the visor has been cracked and we can see his eye behind it. It reminds me of shots of Tex's helmet in Red vs. Blue after the Meteor stabbed her with the Epsilon unit, and of Captain Phasma in The Last Jedi as she looks at Finn before falling to her death. Point number 16. Trailer talk is done, but I also want to talk about the episode titles that have been revealed via the Halo the Series Instagram account. Episode 1 is titled Sanctuary, Episode 2 is Sword, Episode 3 is Visegrad, Episode 4 is Reach, Episode 5 is Aleria, Episode 6 is Onyx, Episode 7 is Thermopylae, and Episode 8 is Halo. I think the title of Episode 1, Sanctuary, is pretty self-explanatory. I mean, there is a Halo 2 map called Sanctuary, but it's based in the ancient Foreigner ruins on Delta Halo, so I doubt it has anything to do with this show, unless we see some ancient Foreigner ruins underground on Reach or something. Episode 2's title of Sword makes me think of Cortana's lines from the first announcement trailer for Halo 3, where she says,
I am your shield. I am your sword.
It most likely instead could refer to Sword Base, an only facility located on Reach that we see in the game Halo Reach when Noble Team stopped the Covenant from attacking it and then later are sent to destroy it, with the added caveat of having to also retrieve Halsey and a fragment of Cortana from the caves beneath the base. Episode 3's title of Visegrad refers to the town of Visegrad on Reach, which you see in the second campaign mission of Halo Reach with a contingency. Visegrad Relay is a communication station where you finish the aforementioned campaign mission and might be where we've seen Silver Team heading to in the previous trailer. Episode 4's title of Reach is obvious, but Episode 5's is intriguing. Aleria is a planet that first appeared in Halo Nightfall and was effectively abandoned by the United Earth government during the Human Covenant War, which led to the planet being controlled by courier guilds, smugglers, and pirates. So most likely this planet is going to have something to do with Soren, considering what he does for a living. Episode 6 is titled Onyx, which makes sense what with Akison and the Spartan 3s being introduced, as Onyx was the place the Spartan 3s were trained. Within the planet was also a portal leading to a Foreigner shield world, which is where Halsey, Mendez, Spartan 2's Fred, Kelly and Linda, and Spartan 3's Lucy, Tom, Ash, Olivia and Mark all ended up trapped during the war, not getting out until the war was over. Episode 7's title of Thermopylae refers to the location where 300 Spartans and a bunch of other Greeks stood against Xerxes' much larger Persian army for 7 days, 3 of which involved battle and resulted in almost the complete annihilation of the Greek forces. Some surrendered, but most fought to the death, including the 300 Spartans. Episode 8, being called Halo, is a complete mystery to me. I never heard of Halo before. I doubt it's even a real word. Point number 17. Speaking of the word Halo, the fake-ass word Halo, 4 promotional images have also been released on the Halo the Series Instagram account, which if you put them all side by side, actually spell out Halo. I just find that really neat.
Oh, I know what the ladies like.
Point number 1. Pablo Schreiber, the actor who plays Master Chief, reveals that he did not agree with having the relationship between John and Makee be a sexual one. The decision to make the connection between Makee and John a romantic connection was a huge mistake. I felt it was a huge mistake at the time, and I argued against it and fought against it. But I am who I am. I don't write the scripts, I only give my opinion. It wasn't listened to. So yeah, even Pablo is in agreement with all of us that having Chief and Makee bump uglies was a mistake. Later in the article he goes on to say, that connection was far more interesting as a deeply fraternal sister/brother. They're the same, and it could have been much more interesting without sex. There is some good, high-quality narrative risk-taking in the second season, and there's narrative risk-taking that doesn't make any sense. That's my opinion on that one, but again, we're weaving the web that we're weaving. David had to deal with those decisions that were made in the first season, and I think he deals with them pretty well. I like the nature of where the John/Marquis story goes. It's certainly not romantic anymore. So, along with the reveal of Charlie Murphy and her character's return for Season 2 in the 13th Silver Debrief Season 2 reveal, released on the Halo Waypoint website on the 2nd of December 2023 that I spoke about in my breakdown of the first look trailer for Season 2, Pablo here also confirms her return and that she is now no longer on friendly terms with Master Chief. I guess getting shot by Chief's other potential love interest Kai will do that to you. And this also gives weight to the theory that the woman narrating over the opening of the official trailer could in fact be Marquis. Point number 2, Pablo is still sticking to his belief that Master Chief taking off his helmet is necessary for the show. People who don't feel the helmet was necessary to come off, they're at such an early conception of what the show could be. In order to examine the discrepancy between these two versions of the character, you can't tell that story without taking the helmet off. If you don't agree with the helmet coming off in the show, you don't like our show, so there's no point discussing it. I've made it no secret that I don't mind if Master Chief in the show takes his helmet off, and I agree with Pablo that it is in fact necessary for him to do so. People need to realise this isn't the game version of Master Chief. This is a Master Chief who was lied to his entire life, had his emotions and memories suppressed, and is trying to come to terms with all of that. Him suited up in Spartan armor is the controllable machine the UNSC intended him to be, the Master Chief, and him armorless, helmetless, is the human that they tried to erase, John, and trying to find the balance between these two is what we are seeing take place in this show. It's kind of like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde or a Bruce Banner and Hulk situation. Point number 3, the article reveals that the second season starts with Cortana being removed from Master Chief, and Pablo explains that was a decision that David made in wanting to reset the relationship with Cortana. He wanted to start with having them apart so he could bring them back together. We spent the entire first season trying to build character development, and then at the end pulled the rug out and said, no, we're resetting back to zero. And that dynamic makes it really hard to make television that progresses. The whole point of the series was to get into the mindset of this split character, this guy who lives as Master Chief, but also has this dawning realization of John who is underneath. At the end of Season 1, Cortana seemingly took over Master Chief's dead body, but in the first look and Weenie Master Chief trailers, we've seen her once again separate from him. So obviously Cortana is no longer in control of John's body, but could her and Chief being separated also refer to her being completely removed from his body and possibly placed onto a data chip just like in the Blue timeline. Point number 4, the article goes on to say that those working on the show know the backlash and criticism the first season received, and while Pablo says, I don't spend a lot of energy worrying about that stuff because it's completely beyond my control. Kiki Wolfkill, what an awesome name, who is one of the executive producers of Halo and is also head of property expansion at Microsoft, feels differently. What's always a challenge is how do you separate some of the emotional noise from the critiques and constructive feedback that's important to take? It can be really demoralizing. It's hard when you've watched thousands of people put so much into a project and have it so easily dismissed. But things that were controversial in Season 1, it was not a surprise that they were controversial, and it was a very easy decision not to do some things again. Some things that became memes. So what is she referring to from Season 1 that became a meme, you might be asking? Well, none other than the nickname Master Cheeks that arose from Pablo's nude scene in Episode 3. No joke, the people making this show know of and acknowledge the existence of the Master Cheeks meme. It was always a desire to give the people who know the Halo universe something different, and that inherently meant taking risks. There are things like Master Cheeks where I will say, admittedly, it was a blind spot for me how strong the reaction would be. At the end of the day, taking a risk like that again is more about, do we need it to support the story? At the end of the day, does Master Cheeks need to happen again to support the story? Probably not. That's not the kind of risk that's worth taking. So unfortunately for all those hoping to see more of Pablo with his dong to the wind, it probably won't be happening again in Season 2. That's not to say there won't be any nudity, Kiki didn't say that, but at the very least we most likely won't get a return of Master Cheeks. Point number 5, an interesting reveal is that the story will begin 6 months after Season 1 with Silver Team protecting a planet from being glassed, with Pablo explaining, we start at a place where everybody is quite disenchanted. The whole team is questioning him, nobody's happy. This season, other characters get their moments to shine, specifically the other Spartans, Riz and Kai and Vanek. You really start to get to know them. Season 2, fleshing out the other members of Silver Team, has been made quite evident in the heavy emphasis on showing them in the trailers that we've seen so far, especially in regards to Riz. With the mention of Season 2 starting off with Silver Team trying to protect a planet from being glassed, I feel this is where we get the green fog scenes from that we've seen in the trailers, with Chief taking on many energy sword wielding elites. We also see Talia in a green fog scene, and I think it is her under Master Chief as he shields her from what might be a Covenant glassing beam, and the ceremony shots we have also seen her in where she is sporting a wounded face then take place after her and Silver Team have escaped that planet being glassed. I also think this green fog shot from the first look trailer is a shot of an Arbiter that the article states will appear in the first episode and will for some reason spare Master Chief's life, with Kiki saying, he is an Arbiter. Arbiter being a title. I probably just told you more than I was supposed to. It's possible you saw Arbiter armor. Point number 6, not only has it been shown that Ackerson has been making what appears to be Spartan 3s and has involved Kai in some fashion in the We Need Master Chief trailer, this article tells us that since Halsey went into hiding at the end of season 1, Ackerson has actually taken over her role of being in command of the entire Spartan program, rather than just being in command of his own Spartan 3 program like in the Blue timeline. Point number 7, for my last point, I just want to read out the final words from Pablo in the article, which I think really shows his commitment to Halo as a franchise and to making the show the best that he can make it. The depth and mystery of the Halo lore is so incredible. It is this vast resource that you could go on with forever. It could expand itself into so many different spin-offs. I love doing it. It's a Herculean challenge, but it's one that I really am proud to be a part of. As long as people are interested in doing it, I'm here and happy to do it. It feels like a worthy challenge, and I love a big challenge. I will play in this world for as long as anybody was interested in having me. Side note, it's weird to say this article was written by Jack Shepard because I actually have a relative called Jack Shepard who definitely did not write this article. Myself and my relative have no relation to this Jack Shepard that I know of, but I will include a link to his website in the description, along with a link to the website Magazines Direct, where I bought the issue of SFX Magazine this article is from. I didn't include everything from the article in my breakdown, so I encourage you all to read it for yourselves.
Halo. It's finished.
No. I think we're just getting started.
Point number 1, James Ackerson in this trailer actually saying how he believes in the Spartan 2s is still so wild to me, considering how he described them in such a negative way when pitching his idea for a Spartan 3 program to Parangosky and others in the novel Ghosts of Onyx. Of course, he could just be blowing smoke up the Spartan 2s' asses to get them to cooperate. I mean, we've seen in previous trailers Kai ends up working with Ackerson and his Spartan 3s in some capacity. Point number 2, I still feel pretty strongly that this elite we see Chief going hand to hand with in the Green Fog is the Arbiter that has been confirmed to appear in this season. The various shots of his armor we've seen so far really scream Arbiter to me, not just in the silver colour, but how it looks more ornate than other elite armor we've seen so far. I can understand though why people think the elite shown in the We Need Master Chief trailer might be the Arbiter, as it is the cleanest, clearest shot of an elite we've gotten so far, and the larger right shoulder pad is very reminiscent of the Arbiter's larger right shoulder pad in the Blue timeline. I guess we'll just have to wait and see if I'm right or wrong and which of these elites is the Arbiter, or if it's a completely different elite altogether. Point number 3, also speaking of this elite, I have zero idea why he decides to just throw away his sword here. Could it be an honor thing? Master Chief doesn't have a weapon, so the elite throws his away to make it more of a fair fight. Point number 4, also speaking of the Arbiter, something I realised only after releasing my video on it, in the article by Jack Shepard from the February 2024 issue of SFX Magazine, Kiki Wolfgill, again, what an awesome name, explains the reason they're introducing the Arbiter into the show is because it's important for us to have a good foil for the Master Chief, which leads me to wonder, where is Aatrox? It seemed season 1 was setting up for Master Chief and Aatrox to have an ongoing beef, yet he hasn't appeared in any of the trailers for season 2. I find it funny that Maki, a character who seemingly died at the end of season 1, has been confirmed to return in the 13th Silver Debrief season 2 reveal released on the Halo Waypoint website on the 2nd of December 2023, and in the SFX Magazine article by Master Chief actor Pablo Schreiber himself. Yet Aatrox, who didn't die and was most likely to return in season 2, hasn't been confirmed or even hinted at to return to take on Master Chief and the rest of Silver Team again. Thinking about it, I don't think we've actually seen any brutes in any of the trailers nor grunts, it's just been elites and jackals. I hope we at least get to see some proper hunter action, since the show Blue Balls does on that in the first season. Point number 5.
I know this enemy. It's here. I saw it.
Could also be referring to the Arbiter, as it was revealed in the SFX Magazine article that in the first episode, Master Chief's life will be spared for some reason by the Arbiter, and Chief, talking to Kai here, takes place at a later time. Point number 6. So not only does Ackerson go and visit Halsey wherever she is, either she came out of hiding or was somehow tracked down, but Soren also comes face to face with her, presumably for the first time after escaping to the rubble as we saw in season 1. And oh boy, Halsey and Soren don't look too happy to see each other. Point number 7, we get a shot of Spartan 3s standing in a troop bay, which connects back to a scene from the first look trailer where Kai walks down the troop bay between the rows of Spartan 3s. We then see 2 Spartans flying through space towards a Covenant corvette. We've seen this shot before in the official trailer, which actually went on for longer, showing us 3 Spartans flying through space. Back then, I theorized that this might be 3 members of Silver Team, either John, Kai and Riz after the death of Vanek, or John, Riz and Vanek, with Kai off helping Ackerson with his Spartan 3s. Now though, I'm wondering if this follows on from the troop bay shot and that one of these Spartans is Kai, the others are Spartan 3s, and if the shot went on for longer, we'd see even more Spartans flying towards the corvette. What has me thinking this is the trailer then shows us Spartan 3s fighting in what appears to be a Covenant-built location based on the energy shield we see behind them. Could this be inside of the corvette? Also, in an interview between Collider's Steve Weintraub and other reporters and John and Kai's actors Pablo Schreiber and Kate Kennedy, Kate talks about the set of the Covenant Corvette. There's a Covenant Corvette and it is quite amazing. It's huge, and what the set guys did for it and the art department is really impressive. They turned it around so quickly and it's like awe-inspiring. It's huge. Kate is the only one out of her and Pablo to talk about the Corvette set, suggesting he wasn't involved in any filming taking place on it, and so isn't one of the Spartans shown flying through space towards it, making it quite likely it is just Kai and a bunch of Spartan 3s. Point number 8, also speaking of the Arbiter, yeah, we're going back in time for a moment, Collider's Steve Weintraub, as well as speaking to Pablo and Kate, also spoke to series director Otto Bathurst, who revealed there won't be 1 but 2 recognizable Covenant characters introduced in Season 2. This time, we've got 2 main characters from the Covenant, which are really going to actually get to meet and get to understand and spend time with and understand what their motives are and what they want. And so I think that's going to be really fun because the enemy will be much more characterized and much more accessible, whereas in the first season, it was a little hard to understand what they wanted or what their agenda was. I think that all slightly affected the season and your ability to really connect with it as to what the stakes were. But now, hopefully in this season, you're going to feel a lot more of a connection to the Covenant, and a couple of the characters we're bringing out are fan favourites, so that's going to go well. One of these 2 Covenant characters is most likely the Arbiter, though we'll have to wait and see if this Arbiter is anything like the Arbiter we all know and love from the Blue Timeline, Thel Vadam. So who could this other character be? Ratas Halfjaw Vadum? Sessa Rafumi? Tartarus? Who else? Kethagus? Oh, how about if the show introduces the engineers, the Huragok, and we get to see Quick to Adjust? Maybe not. Who knows? Find out next time on Halo Ball Z. Point number 9, I am quite curious as to what the relationship is between John and new character Talia Perez, played by Christina Rodlow. We've seen them sat together outside in the official trailer and her running and gunning alongside both John and Riz in the other trailers, so what is her connection to John that has led to them sitting together in what appears to be a church? Could my theory be correct that the green fog scenes that we've seen both Chief and Talia in happen in the first episode, an episode revealed in the SFX Magazine article to take place on a planet that Silver Team has been tasked with protecting from Covenant glassing. Chief then saves Talia twice, runs from the elite who might be this show's arbiter, and then again by shielding her from what appears to be a Covenant glassing beam. This has then created some form of bond between John and Talia, and they've since remained in contact with each other. Point number 10, here we see Chief, Riz, Talia, and what appears to be the guy Riz was sitting next to on the sofa, and the guy also in the room, and who might also be the guy looking at Riz's messed up arm in a different shot from the official trailer. Still not sure who these guys could be. Just friends? Is the guy looking at her arm a doctor or medic? Is the guy on the sofa with her a relative she's found, or a boyfriend? Could they may even be fellow Spartan 2s? In any case, the shot of Chief, Riz, Talia, and the 2 mystery guys in this trailer seems to actually take place after the shot from the official trailer. Note what the sofa guy is wearing, a darker shirt but the sleeves are yellow. He appears to be wearing the same thing in this shot of the 4 of them. They also appear to be walking down a corridor in a residential building, maybe the same building the sofa scene is from, and behind the 4 you can also see another person who you can't make out properly because they're in shadow. Could this be another resident of this building? Could Chief and Talia, who were together when the Covenant surprise attacked Reach, have headed off to find Riz, who was with the 2 guys, and are now all trying to make their way out of the building, saving and bringing along anyone else they find? Point number 11, goddamn, Kwan Ha is not fucking around anymore. Look at her go. Point number 12, many are theorizing that these 3, Oh no, wait, there's a fourth person hiding back there. 4 people might be Spartan 3s and could be this show's version of Noble Team. However, according to IMDb, they are from left to right Kareem 002, Yaz 112, and Val 015. It doesn't give us a name for the fourth person who we can actually see properly in this image from the Instagram account of Karen Connell, who is the actress for Yaz 112. The numbering suggests that these are in fact not Spartan 3s but Spartan 2s. In the blue timeline, rather than just having a 3-digit number, Spartan 3s would also have a letter before their 3-digit number corresponding to their company. A for Alpha, B for Beta, and G for Gamma. We'll have to wait and see though if the show has followed this lettering and numbering as well, or has left out the letters and just numbered the Spartan 3s the same way they've numbered the Spartan 2s. If these 4 are in fact Spartan 2s, in the blue timeline there are no Spartan 2s whose name or number corresponds with the 3 here that we know of. Just like Riz, Kai, and Vanek, they are entirely new Spartans created for this show. Point number 13, let's look a little more at the cast list on IMDb for the first episode of the second season. The names that really stick out to me are Christina Bennington playing Cortana, Victor Akerblom playing the Arbiter, and Olwen Fuera as the Mother. We also have a bunch of characters with just one name: Felix, Minnie, Baz, Vera, Karina, Castor, Virgil, and Antares. These names scream Spartan to me, but whether they are Spartan 2s or Spartan 3s, we'll have to wait and see. One of them is most likely the name of the fourth person we see with Kareem, Yaz, and Val though. Point number 14, hey, we finally get to see some Parangoski, even if it is just a blink and you miss it shot of her. Point number 15, we see Riz falling off of a cliff just like we saw her do in the We Need Master Chief trailer, but the shot is completely different. Did she seriously fall off of 2 cliffs, like back to back or something? Point number 16, we get a shot of an elite and I really can't tell if it's meant to be the same elite we got the clear shot of in the We Need Master Chief trailer. Like, to me the teeth look different and the armor on the chest doesn't look entirely the same. I don't know, let me know what you guys think. Point number 17, I would also like anyone who still has issues with the TV show showing Chief be armorless and by extension helmetless a bunch, and also has a problem with how different the silver timeline is to the blue timeline, to read the Collider articles I mentioned before. Listen to what they have to say in those articles and I think most of your worries around season 2 and the show as a whole might be lessened somewhat. Point number 18, another thing I missed when breaking down the We Need Master Chief trailer is when we see Chief putting on his cracked helmet at the end of the trailer, there appears to be the grapple shot from Halo Infinite on his wrist. Will we see Chief flying around all over the place, or will he just use it to grab weapons and such? Thank you all so much for tuning in to the Triple S Variety channel. Why not leave a comment below pointing out anything I missed but you noticed? I would love to hear from you all. I've been Triple S, you've all been amazing, and I shall see you all in the next video.